Alright, what's up guys? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing okay. Just wanted to do a little channel update. As you can see before you, there's no tanks in the corner, and that's because back before Thanksgiving, the basement flooded. And, I've been waiting to get the carpet replaced, but as of tomorrow, the guy should be in to put new carpet in, so looking forward to getting that done and getting the tanks back downstairs and getting back to it. So I thought what I might do today is actually do something I haven't done for a while, and don't do very often, which is go upstairs and take a look at where I am with my tanks. So without any further ado, let's go. And here we are upstairs. Start off with the 20-gallon quarantine tank. I currently have red Minora Serpentine Tetra in here. Bought these a couple weeks ago. Decided to use this tank for what it's for, which is quarantining them. And they seem to be doing well, so I'm thinking probably, definitely, before I move this tank downstairs, I'm going to go ahead and move these fish into their permanent tank, which is the 46-gallon bow front. I like these fish because they are shaped a lot like tiger barbs, and so that's why I keep these fish. Also in this tank I have a couple snails, and I also have a rubber-lip pleco, which hides in that rock cave there. He was over in the 46-gallon bow front, but he was chewing up on the plants a little bit, so I pulled him out and put him in here. This tank was got a really bad case of algae in it since I moved it upstairs, so he's cleaned it up and got plenty to eat, and everybody in here is doing pretty well. So moving on to the next tank. Here we are at the 55-gallon wood grain tank. This is the tank that I was originally using to house my big boy there, the red Severn. I didn't have enough room upstairs to bring all the tanks, so I ended up breaking down the 29-gallon saltwater themed tank. And this tank was originally intended to be a new home for my Mbunas, so with that being said, I just went ahead and consolidated and moved them all over here. I wouldn't typically do that, mix African cichlids with a South American cichlid, but I needed to do something, so I did. But everybody's been getting along okay. The big boy there wasn't too happy when the new invaders came into his home, but he's cool with them now. He gets along with them. Everybody's getting along okay, except the Mbunas, which are always chasing each other. But this is going to be the Mbuna's permanent home. And as far as the decor goes, I'm thinking I'm probably going to change some things around. But that's for a later date. So with that being said, let's move on to the next tank. My other 55-gallon Severn tank. Not a whole lot to talk about in this tank other than tiger barbs, doing pretty good. They make pretty good tank mates for this Severn. The only problems I've had is keeping them alive, which I've never really had a whole lot of luck with them. But I think a lot of it has to do with making sure they get enough nutrition and make sure they get enough to eat. So I've been really focusing more on making sure that they get enough to eat. And the Severn, he's pretty easy to feed. This one, he is camera shy and he is hiding. He gets that way. But as far as that goes, I think since the last time I did a video on this tank, I've added these plastic plants. Got these plants at the locally owned fish store, and I tried to have regular plants in here, real plants in here, and it didn't work because, as you can see, there's that little chunk of plant flying there. My little buddy here likes to eat on them, And as you can see at that Anubis, the only one he hasn't been able to uproot from this piece of driftwood, he still gnaws on it and chews it up. So, but he pretty much is leaving these plastic ones alone. I kind of like them. I just like the way it makes the tank look. I think this tank with the style needs some plants in it to help make it look better. So aside from that, everybody in here is doing pretty well. So moving on to the next tank and the last tank. Now here's a tank I haven't done a video on in a long time. And I usually don't do videos on tanks that are upstairs. And we're not going to do one on the 10-gallon tank that I used to have the crayfish in, which I now keep pea puffers in. One of these days I will eventually get in there and do a video, but the wife's sleeping, so I don't want to risk waking her up. So this tank, this is probably the tank I struggle with the most as far as keeping fish alive. And I think part of the problem is I'm always trying to keep tons of different kinds of fish in there. This is like my mix match up, whatever you want to call it. I've always got all kinds of different kinds of fish in here, and most recently I decided I would try to adjust the pH in this tank, because according to the little master test kit I have, my pH is close to 7.8, and I thought that was kind of high for any fish other than maybe an African cichlid. And so I got something to supposedly lower it. Well, that ended up being disastrous, and killed off my bala sharks, and killed off a few other fish that were in the tank. But you know, everybody else is surviving. I think you know, because I took and slowed the water flow in this tank, I got rid of the power head, and I put a smaller filtration system in here. I'm going to focus primarily on these gouramis. I kind of like these guys, and they're doing pretty good so far. I've had them for about 2 months, I guess, in here, and as long as I'm keeping them well fed, they seem to be doing okay. So that'll be the primary fish that I keep in this tank. As far as fish like this one right here, that's a Columbia red blue tetra. I like those, and I like keeping them, but they are a little bit more aggressive on the feeding side, which these gouramis are a little more timid when it comes to feeding. They go to the top typically and get their food from there, and take their time about it, in a manner of speaking. They're mild-mannered, but these Colombian tetras here are really aggressive. They attack and dang near leap out of the water to get the food and create a big mess. So I don't know if they're the best tank mates for these gouramis, but I think I'd rather have the gouramis than I would the Colombians. So some of the other inhabitants in here would be, let's see if we can focus in on him. That's a lamp-eye tetra. He's got a couple other names. It's not really focusing real good, but these are pretty cool fish. I had these over in the 10-gallon for a while, and they're kind of a little more aggressive on the feeding side, but they're kind of cool to keep too. Let's see if I can find, here we go. That guy back there with the stripe. Some of you might think that that's a Chinese algae eater, but it's not. These were actually sold to me as Siamese algae eaters, and I bought those because if you look at the plant work, you can see blackbeard algae, and I think I have blackbeard algae because I've been throwing too many or too much ferts, liquid ferts in here, and I think that the carbon levels have gotten out of whack, so I got this growing. So I bought those guys to eat on that, and they're not eating on it, which leads me to believe that I was mistakenly sold Siamese algae eaters, flying fox, Siamese flying fox algae eaters instead of actually Siamese algae eaters. So kind of bummed out about that, but I'll work on getting this cleaned up, trying to figure out something to get rid of that. I went through 2 weeks ago and literally scraped these plants with brushes and my fingernails and stuff to try to get that stuff off, and even pulled some of this stuff out, like this decor here, and scrubbed down on it and scraped on it, and yeah, still fighting with it. So I'll have to try to figure something else out. And as far as this piece of driftwood here in the middle goes, this was originally planned to be in the 29-gallon planted tank I was going to do, but because of everything that's going on, I just wanted a place to keep this wet so that it would stay waterlogged, and of course it's got the beneficial bacteria on it. So along with these anubis that I pulled out of the 55-gallon and saved from the mean evil green Severn, I think what I'm going to do is put that in that 29-gallon planted tank that I'm planning on doing, and I think I'm going to take these anubis and hot glue them onto the driftwood and stick them in there like that. So as far as that other 29-gallon that I had that I was doing, I don't know if I'm going to put that back up or if I'm going to leave it down and do another planted tank. I haven't decided yet. One of the problems I think I have with this tank is I put too many different types of fish in it, and since I've got a couple of 29-gallon tanks, maybe what I could do is just keep different types of fish in there and do planted tanks. So something I'm thinking about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit a like, consider subscribing. Definitely love to hear from you in the comments. So till next time, later.